Well, yeah, it was extremely interesting. I liked the fact that there were, three different presentations from the use of, the live instruments and demonstrating them, the shofar and the didgeridoo, and then the more scientific approach, the video games. I like the multimedia presentation, and the tempo of it was tidbits. So it was sound bites and nice. So liked it very much.
I am very happy to introduce our speakers here in 1 second. And before that, I want to tell you about this concept of sound.
I'm David Sonnenschein, and I'm going to present today kind of a range of very old music applications for healing, and also very modern. And my background is I have a degree from USC in School of Cinema, and also as an undergraduate I have a degree in neurosciences and music. So my interest has always been about linking together these fields, so it's really a great pleasure to be here in this environment to show. Sound that you do, in particular, it is kind of like a little bit of a laser beam, not literally, but it does have a lot of focus of the sound waves.
Hearing the signals underneath the noise, that Nate Silverbook is amazing. I think it's so incredible because that is one of the key elements of being mindful.
Absolutely.
How do we see past the veneer? You can't judge a book by its cover, all the classic and ancient things that we learned from Shakespeare all the way back. The research that you're doing to me seems essential in us to learn how we really do learn. And as an education trained person myself, literature primarily, I'm fascinated by what your work is doing and what films can do. Where this is going to go with Three Deaf Mice.
Well, we have some other questions too, so I'll be really brief. This is a brain function, and not just with sound, but with all kinds of perception, and people who are overwhelmed with just too much, they just can't distinguish. So what we're doing in this particular game and in general this training is to develop the step-by-step the ability to distinguish between different parameters. For example, if it was visual, I'd say, can you tell the difference between red and red-orange? You know, and start to just, get the colors closer and closer, so that your color sense gets better and better. In sound, we would do it with pitch or with timbre, which is like the difference between, say, a flute and a violin. These are different qualities that we can identify and separate, so that we can train people to start to distinguish better, and they become also essential for understanding language.
When Morali asked me to speak at this, I went, really? Because I'm not an expert really in sound in any way, but I do have a very strong personal interest, and I'll get into that in a minute. The professional hat I wear is as director of the Institute for Integrative Health. And the purpose of the Institute is really to develop integrative healing modalities, both for clinical care and also for research and also for education. We're funded right now with a grant from the Provost Office of Research here to develop a collaborative community of researchers across campuses to look at modes of healing that can be called integrative, or the previous renditions of that were complementary alternative medicine modalities. One of our tasks at the Institute for Integrative Health is to take this in and say, okay, how can we look at these? This is a research institution, USC. How can we look at some of these and really show some sort of effects and or effectiveness. Some of you have heard shofar, some of you probably haven't. So it'll be interesting to see who experiences what. So, so think about, you know, if you'd like, you can just hear it. And if you'd like, you can think of one of those two intentions. Maybe you got something you're struggling with internally. Think about that. Just have that, you know, and then have the shofar make your call to the greater spirit or the inner spirit. Again, however you conceptualize it within your own self. You know, everybody has a different concept of that. Okay? So it's typical you say a couple of prayers before you blow the shofar, and basically it's just saying, the most common one is, from the narrow place, I'm calling out to you, Great Spirit, and from the great vastness, you will answer. That's basically the prayer. Okay, so, Min ha-metzar karati ya, anani ya, nirchov.
Sanskrit, a word called Om. The way you say that Om, you know, that resonates, all kinds of healing power in it, you know. So,
So we're using Indian Carnatic music to help cancer patients, and we're using ancient instruments to play for them, and we're measuring their rhythms. Basically, we're measuring the vibrations that are going through their bodies to see how it affects them with either their blood or their blood pressure and their heart rates, and we're trying to discover how much music actually does affect neurologically, physically, mentally the body of a human.
Particular lullaby is actually from a raga, from Carnatic music, you know, and that has been used thousands of years in Ayurveda and other healing modalities, you know. And
in your research and in your work, are there known tones or pitches or sounds that have measured changes in vibration or changes in frequency that have a positive effect, specifically on any patient, but specifically on cancer patients?
But in the hospital, I got access to EEG and learned how to control the beat wave frequency.
This should be preventative for preserving hearing, but do you envision a path where this might aid people whose hearing may have already been impacted?
Seeing this here at USC especially surprised me because I'm not used to seeing like alternative or integrative things here, so it's really great this is happening here.
I came here because I like to use sound in healing and I know nothing about it. I just use it intuitively.